Lecture 17, Queen Hatshepsut.
Welcome back again. Remember last time we ended with the beginning of the fabulous 18th dynasty? We talked about how good times were coming to Egypt, but the important thing to stress about this beginning is that women are powerful. This is where we get in Egypt woman power, where they become very important. Now, we ended with the death of Thutmose I, who was the first king to be buried in the Valley of the Kings. A powerful pharaoh, but when he dies, he leaves only one child.
White pine, Pinus monticola.
Purely royal. Now, what I mean by purely royal, if you'll remember, there are three relationships that a woman can have to the pharaoh. She can be the great wife. Now, that is the top of the line. She is the chief wife of the king. There is only one great wife at any one time, and that's as good as it gets. But beneath the great wife, there are other wives. Women who are married to the king, who have full rights. Their children can perhaps sometimes become king. And beneath them are concubines. These are not just hangers-on. One shouldn't think of that at all. Under rare circumstances, the son of a concubine can become pharaoh. These were women who were a significant part of the palace, but certainly beneath the wives. Now, when Thutmose I died, there was only one child of the great wife alive, a 12-year-old girl named Hatshepsut. So she is the only one who, in a sense, is pure royal. Both mother and father are king and queen. And the question becomes, who'll be king?
Another western white pine.
Now, if you remember, there's an heiress theory, the theory that it's matrilineal. You become king by marrying the woman with the pure royal blood flowing through her veins. And that's what happens. Whoever marries Hatshepsut, this little 12-year-old girl, will become king of Egypt. Now, Thutmose I had a son by another wife, whose name is Thutmosis, and he becomes Thutmose II by marrying Hatshepsut. He's perhaps in his early 20s, she's 12 years old, and they are married, and he becomes king of Egypt. They're married for 20 years. 20 years. They have a daughter, Neferu Re, and as far as we can tell, it's an uneventful marriage. He doesn't raise any great obelisks, doesn't build any incredible monuments, and we have his mummy. He wasn't a particularly attractive man either. It may have been a long 20 years for Hatshepsut, and I'll suggest why I say that later. But he dies, and now Hatshepsut, the great wife, right, is a widow. Who will become king? Well, there's a contender. There's no son with pure royal blood. She doesn't have a son, Hatshepsut. But her husband did have a son by another woman, but not the great wife, of course. This is Thutmose III. Now, think about the relationship between Hatshepsut and Thutmose III, right? Now remember, her husband had been her half-brother, right? So what is the relationship between Hatshepsut and this boy, Thutmose III? Well, one relationship is he's her stepson, right? Because this is the child of her husband by another woman, so it's a stepson. But also, since her husband was her half-brother, it's a nephew.
Ooh, Game of Thrones weird.
So it's a little bit complex, but that's the way things were in ancient Egypt.